Right, we are back, and you may wonder why I've got a cookie and a hammer. It's not a cookie. So I was just playing around, and watch this. I'm hitting that really hard. Not a mark. This was a putty that sets in around 10 to 15 minutes. A 2-part putty that I have just grated. I don't know if this has been done before. I've seen it done with normal epoxy, but not like this. So it does not bend. I cannot break it. It's super lightweight, and it used really little ingredients, but I'm going to show you how I made it, and I think that this is going to have so much potential. It's going to be unreal. And it only took 5 mil of each part to create something that big. So most of the mass is made up with cornstarch, which you may have seen other people use in normal epoxies. I've not really watched many, but I've been kind of playing with ideas in my head as to what I can kind of achieve with it. So out comes the polyurethane resin, 10-minute fast cure, low viscosity. And I found, just in my experiment, this is only the second time doing this, so bear with me, there's going to be lots of questions, lots that we need to work on with this. But what I found is I actually had a longer work time than what I did with the normal, obviously the normal liquid form when you're mixing. So all I'm going to do is fill up my mixing cups to 5 ml of part A and 5 ml of part B. I mean, that's it. So imagine how far this will go. And the good thing about this is that the resin is actually, you can measure it by weight or by volume. So because we're adding the cornstarch, we can actually weigh exact equal amounts of both parts to get the putties perfect. So the measuring spoon I'm using is 1/4 tablespoon, but obviously we want by weight ideally, but for the purpose of the video I'm just going to do it this way. So I'm just going to keep adding, same as what I just did a moment ago, until I've got the consistency that I want. So that is 5 measurements at the moment, and I want it to become really thick like a putty, so I'm going to keep going. So we're now at 10, and you can see it's really starting to thicken up really nicely. Keep going. So we're now at 12 scoops. It's more like a paste than a putty, I suppose, but once you work the two together it does become more like a putty. So that is the consistency that we want. And just make sure all of that powder is mixed in thoroughly, and there it is. So ideally what you would do is weigh that and then match the weight to the part B, and there they are. So in theory what we could do, I have these pots, you could mix up enough to store these away and just mix as and when you need them, in theory, but I haven't got that far in testing. This is kind of breaking as I've discovered it. So all I'm going to do now is just take that out. Obviously make sure you've got your PPE on. Take that putty out, get all of it, and then what I could do with this is just keep adding to the pot if I wanted to, because the measurements are going to be, as long as you keep your measurements the same, you can just build this up, or just use a bigger mixing pot, would be a lot easier. But make sure you clean your gloves before handling the part B, because you don't want any kind of contamination, which is then going to activate, you know, either part. So I've just measured out equal parts of part A and part B. You can see it's more like a putty now. So what I can now do is just begin to work those two together. And like I said, you do get a bit of playtime with this. You can roll it in your hands, it's really, really malleable and soft. Now, ideas for what this could be done with, hit me in the comments. I think this would be great for building up the inside of like a large 3D mould, but we need to test whether the soft putty will kind of bond with a hardened section, because it is going to cure as you're building it. But I think we could create hollow pieces. This would be great for... I ran out of storage. I was saying this would be great for model making, adding details to different things, so you could make flowers out of this and kind of bond it. This is just my brain thinking overtime. I think this could be a massive thing, and the fact that it cures so quickly is incredible. Now I wonder if we could soften it even more with maybe a drop of silicone oil. I don't know. As always, massive shout out to my channel members, anyone who's bought me a coffee or a super thanks. Much appreciated. So I'm going to continue working at it, just see how long I can work with it for before it starts to pull apart. So you'll feel that it starts to get a little bit warm. It's not hot. Don't panic, it's not hot. It's just a little bit warm. And it's crumbling a little bit, but I think that is where it's beginning to cure, because I've been handling it for a couple of minutes now. So I'm just going to roll this one into a ball and just let that set. But I think there's so much we could do. We could make freeform jewellery, because we could always decorate it with other resin, like UV resin, flowers. We could do so much, and it's so quick. So I'm going to just pop that onto, I'll just leave it on the lid there and just let that harden. And like I said, it will take about 10 minutes. What's the time now? We'll do a time check. We are 2 minutes away from, 3 minutes away from 12 o'clock. You can see I can still work that on there also. So it's given me a little bit more playtime than it would as a liquid form. But I think I need to leave it alone now, because I'm kind of disturbing. See, it's turning into like a powdery as I'm dragging my finger on it, which means it is beginning to cure. It's only been a few minutes. Look at that. I don't think it's fully cured all the way through, but I can now handle that. Do I try and break it? I don't want to yet, because I know it's still probably curing on the inside, so it's a little bit bendy still. Let's give it another couple of minutes. Okay. I can't break that. I can't bend it. That is absolutely solid hard. Sorry, my focus went. But that is absolutely incredible with such a small amount of polyurethane resin. And you can see, I think that will be fine for a later date. So I've grabbed another 2 small amounts of both parts. I want to see if it will stick to that one. It's all an experiment. So let's push that on top of that one. I don't know if this is going to work, so we could be limited, but we'll see in about 10 minutes. That wasn't intentional. But it has bonded, which is absolutely amazing. It's not going anywhere. So you could build up. So my brain was just thinking, you could, like with beach scenes, you could add like textured effects like rocks or mountains. But one thing to bear in mind is that this will not adhere to epoxy if epoxy is cured. So I couldn't kind of add this to cured epoxy. However, you can add epoxy to this and it will cure and bond to this. I think this unlocks a lot for artists and creators to be able to make, say, instant, really quick picture frames, or because I think you could also paint this, but I'm going to do an update video. We're going to test some other things, I think, but it's really super strong and robust. And I'm also wondering whether we could use normal, like, baking flour, things like that. I mean, this is new to me. And I think together we could come up with some absolutely insane ideas on this. Just let me know in the comments what you think this would be really good for. As always, hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you give it a thumbs up, drop me a comment, even if it's a smiley face, and it is free to hit that subscribe button, help the channel grow. We're almost at 70k now. I'll see you for the next one. Bye for now.